Hi, Tony, and welcome to the Hayley Osborne Show. I'm really happy that you've joined me today.
Hi, Hayley. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
How are you? Good?
I'm good. I'm good. It's like this. I'm in the kind of decompress, wind down into the end of year type zone. So it's good. I
Yeah,
feel like things are good now.
I know. So, as we're talking, we are recording this episode towards the end of December, but it will be going to air in January. So it's just one of those like times where you're like, oh, I'll do this, but then it'll go out then and it'll be all good. So before we get started, Tony, I would love you to introduce yourself to the listeners, who you are and what you do.
For sure. So my name is Tony Everard and my business is Tony Everard Coaching. And I'm super passionate about helping people really shift their mindset and enhance their communication and really just understand how to get the best out of themselves and their clients and to perform well in business. That's what I'm really passionate about. And so the way that I do that is through coaching and programs, and I run a lot of certification programs in teaching people NLP or neuro linguistic programming and hypnosis and a couple of other modalities around there. That's all around helping people, like I said, communicate better, enhance their emotional intelligence, and just to really understand themselves and their own behaviors and be able to change those to optimize their results.
Yeah, nice. So how do you do that? What do you do to what does that look like for you? You've got a
Yes.
podcast, so you educate people that way.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I have a podcast, the Coaching Circle, and so that is a podcast where I interview other coaches and also people who support coaching type businesses as well. And we talk about everything from mindset to communication to goal setting. And what I really love doing is taking, I guess, complex kinds of concepts and terminology and creating analogies that make it really easy for people to understand how they can apply this knowledge in real life. Because I'm all about the, actual results, action, applying, creating the change, right? Like having lots and lots of information is great, but unless you're going to do something about it, it's just chewing gum for the mind, right? So,
I love that
so
analogy.
yeah, yeah. So I've got the podcast. There's also the Coaching Circle Insiders, which is a subscription type group where I do live training and Q&A every week. And I run trainings probably about once a month. I'm running a training of some kind. And also I have like a higher end business and mindset program called Elevate that I work with people who are master practitioners essentially. So those really wanting to level up their thinking and how they're working with other people. So there's lots of components, I guess, to what I do, but it's all stuff that I love and I'm really passionate about, and I love creating content. Like I love this kind of platform podcasting, creating short form video, all those kinds of things where I can share information that really helps people think about things in a different way.
Yeah, I think platforms like this and, like you coming on to this podcast of mine is a nice way to be able to educate more people about what you do. And you're clearly passionate about what you do. And I think when you are, it shows, and it does show through you, Tony.
Yeah.
And I think, the more people that you can raise awareness, like the way I see it is that's your service to the community and to up level the economy and to make everything better. And by you not sharing it, that would be a disservice because there's people out there that need what you have to offer. So I want to ask you about NLP because right now, I feel, or maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's a lot of people talking about NLP and all the things. It's like, okay, I want to peel it all the way back. What does it stand for? Because acronyms, I don't love like using acronyms because I feel like it
Mm.
excludes a lot of people and it's not very inclusive. But let's talk about what is NLP and how can it help people in business?
Yeah, great question. So NLP, those three little letters that we hear bandied around, and so essentially what they stand for is neuro linguistic programming. And that sounds kind of complex as well. So
Yes.
I'll break it down a little bit more. So neuro is essentially your nervous system and how you receive information through your five senses. So how you see things, hear things, feel things, smell things, taste things. And then essentially you've got self-talk as well. And so we're consistently receiving information from whatever's going on around us, when someone's talking to you, when you see something, you know, all of those things, and you're receiving this information through your five senses. And then essentially the L is for linguistic, which is all of our language, which is verbal and non-verbal. So it's the things that we say, but also how we interpret the information that we receive through our five senses, and then how we, you know, we create images, you know, sound, self-talk, all those kinds of things, and we label all of those experiences. And so our language is essentially a gauge of how we're experiencing the external environment. And so language is really, really important because, you know, the key thing that I think is really important to know is that your words don't describe your reality, they create your reality.
Absolutely. That's great.
Language is a really, really important part of it. And then the P stands for programming. And essentially, as humans, we are consistently running programs and strategies, and there's a step-by-step process of everything that we do. So, you know, the thing that I really love about NLP is it's based on what is the structure, what is the steps that you go through to create any kind of result in your life. So, you know, there is a specific strategy and steps that you go through about, you know, how you get up in the morning, how you get into relationships, and, you know, how you parent, how you have friends, how you exercise, and also how you do business. Okay. So when it comes to sales and marketing and, you know, working with your clients, there are step-by-step processes that you go through that include, you know, things that you're imagining in your mind, things that you're saying to yourself, feelings that you have, and, you know, then actions that you create. And so this is why it's so important to understand this for yourself when you're in business, because every behavior that you have is a result of the things that you're doing internally. Okay, so how you're interpreting information will be influenced by your own beliefs and your own values and the language that you use and the pictures that you hold in your mind. All of these things will go into determining how you feel, and then essentially your actions, which will then, you know, be what results that you get. So understanding how that means that if you've got something that's not working well for you, you can work out where it's not working and then change that within yourself so that you can get different results.
And I feel like as business owners that there was a lot in there, but when you can master this, you are dynamite.
Yes.
Because you then get out of your own way and you understand how the world works around you far better. And that's a really powerful place to be. And I have people that come in that are master like mindset coaches inside the membership, because I do feel like it's you need to work on your mindset. Doesn't matter what level that you're at in business. I like to say new level, different devil. You do the work and you get strong. And usually I think you do the work and get strong when you get knocked down, because, you know, in business, everyone has a cry every now and then. It's just the way it is. It goes up and down. And so this is something that helps with that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, like you say, new level, new devil. I say new level, different devil, same kind of devil, same devilish talk. But one of the things that I talk about is the universal model of change that people go through. And that is the layers, that is the levels that you go through. And essentially, you know, you'll be going along in life going, yes, you know, I've got all this sorted out, or maybe it's in business. I've got it all sorted out. I know what I'm doing. And then you start thinking, oh, maybe there's more I could be doing, or maybe this program or this offering is not who I am anymore, or maybe there's a different kind of client clientele that I want to work with, or, you know, whatever it might be. And then you start, you can't go back, right? Like you can't go back to that, everything's good. You're in this kind of, no, there's something that needs to change. And then what happens is, like when you said we have a bit of a cry, we end up in this point where we just feel stuck. It's like, I don't know, I can't go back to where I was, but I don't know how to get where I want to get to for the next level. And it can be when we're in this kind of stuck state. And that's when people usually start looking around for who's my next mentor, or what's the next like shiny thing I'm going to find, or the next, you know, perfect strategy that's going to change everything. When really it's that you're doing a level up and you need to shift your neurology that's moving into this new way of being, which is environmentally driven. So you have to be around, you know, I always say I pay for proximity, right? I'll get as close as I can to the people who are doing what it is that I want to do, because that's one of the fastest ways that you'll build your neurology, which is really your coping mechanisms and your beliefs and your values that will match that next level. And then it's like, usually you get the thing that motivates you is you get so much pain that you go, I don't care anymore. I'm just not doing this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that next level. And then you do that. And then of course the cycle just starts again eventually, where, you know, like everything's great. And then, you know, the doubts start popping in. What's the next
basically
thing?
just described my flow of thoughts. And I like throughout the year, it's like I pay for proximity too. I think that's one of my highest values is education. And that's why I like to teach, as well as like invest in myself, because nothing is better. And I love that you just said that. That is so good. So in terms of I guess mastering your mind for business, do you have a couple of like tips that you could share with our listeners? Because this is your zone of genius, and I really want to put you in lights. Because you are so good at what you do.
Thanks, Hayley. Well, look, I love it. And I do. I work with a whole range of people in business. Like, you know, I've got clients who are, you know, transitioning from having a job and getting their first coaching programs together and working with their first clients. And then I've got clients who are like got businesses that are turning over $20 million a year. And so there's different levels of where people are at. It's like a different level. It's the same, building the foundation, next step and that next step. And so I'd say, like, you know, one of the most important things that you need to know, and look, the best way I can explain this is probably with the focus model. Would you like me to explain that to you?
I would love that. Yes,
yeah.
Please. The focus transformation model. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes. So this focus model is really what covers anything that I do, whether it's working with people one-on-one or whether I'm teaching. And you know, it's just gives you a really good base to think about your mindset when it comes to business. And so focus is a word that I use a lot because it's really powerful. Your focus is the number one thing that will make a difference to what the results that you get. And that is because whatever you focus on, you'll get more of. And so if you're focusing on the things that you don't want, you don't like, that you hope don't happen, that you hope people don't think, everything else, all you're going to do is create anxiety for yourself and really hold yourself back and don't do the things. Okay, so focus is a really powerful word. You've got to focus on what it is that you want and hold that focus with all your might, right? That's really important.
Yeah.
But if we break focus down, right, F is for the framework or the foundations of thinking. Okay, you've got to have a good foundation of where you base your thinking from. And one of the most important frames that I teach people about is cause and effect. And what that means is essentially, if you're at effect, you're saying there's all this stuff that's going on around me and it's not my fault and there's nothing I can do about it. And I've got a lot of reasons why I'm not achieving what I want to achieve. Okay. And that's quite popular in the ways of people generally think. And a lot of conversations you can have with people, they'll tell you all the reasons why things aren't going how they want them to, but it just won't get you results. And so when you're at cause, it's where you realize that you're actually the projection point for everything going on around you, and how you respond and where you choose to put your focus, your time, your energy is a decision that's yours and yours alone. And that whatever you say you want to achieve, it's up to you to make sure that happens. And the thing is, like, whenever we set some goals, there are going to be challenges, okay, because it's just the nature of it. If essentially when you're setting goals, you're saying, I want to achieve something that I don't have right now, which means I need to become something who I'm not right now, okay, through actions, behaviors, habits, all those kinds of things. So you have to take full responsibility in making that happen, even when challenges come up. It's like always being, okay, well, how can I overcome this challenge? How can I overcome this challenge? How can I get myself back on track? So that's foundations of thinking. And there's a bunch more that I talk about when I'm teaching and working with my clients. But being respectful of the time here, I think that's a good one. Okay, just being at cause and taking responsibility for yourself. And then, so that's the frames. Okay, then O is for optimal language. And I spoke a little bit about the importance of language already, and just knowing that your words create your reality. So whatever you're speaking, do I want to speak this into my reality? Do I want to speak this into existence? If not, stop talking about it, right? Like, speak what you want to create.
I feel like that's a really good time to say that, especially obviously this will be airing in January. It's like, take that. If that's the one thing you do, is take what Toni is saying and, speak your reality, because everyone has really bold goals. I know I'm a goal setter. Every year at the beginning of the year, I write down my goals and they're bold. And I think that's a really strong way to make it your reality, and it works.
Yeah. And have people around you that you can have conversations with that support that. Like one of my besties, Ali Nitschke, she's this incredible leadership coach. She's out there killing it. I caught up with her yesterday. We go for beach walks and just talk about business stuff. And we talk big game, right? Because we can both support that. Like yeah, absolutely. 100% I've got your back. That's definitely you and more. So you want to have those people around you that will support that. So that's optimal language. And there's so much you can learn about language and understanding how every word you say influences you and the person that you're speaking to. And like when I first learned NLP, the language part just blew my mind. I was just like, oh my God, do I even know English like up till now? And there's so much involved in how you're talking, whether you're talking about things as possibility, necessity, if you're talking about things in present tense, past tense, future tense, what is being presupposed in your language. There's a lot that you can learn, and it's really super powerful. And that's the language part is what I would now attribute to the level that I coach at. Is like, yes, I've got a bunch of techniques, but understanding language and being able to hear exactly what people say is the thing that creates the most transformational change, and knowing how to question people and what to ask, and also how to say things in a way like that, the words, what is the internal representation? What are they doing in their mind when I say this to them?
Yeah. And
so that's really powerful.
I guess that kind of means as well, like if I'm needing help with my words or whatever that looks like, I might know, or the business owner that you're working with might know exactly like the transformation that they provide, or I guess what they want to do, but they're just not articulating it properly. So it's really like reading and comprehension, like your ability to comprehend at a super high level to be able to extract, well, this actually means this.
Yes.
And it's such a beautiful place to get to when you're in business, especially because like people are drawn to you, not through your like visual usually, because you're not always on and they're not always visible. So what I mean by that is like through 99% of people are going to Google you as a business before they pick up the phone. So, you know, your words, your written words, and even the images that you have out there of you and your brand, might not be you, but whatever that looks like, is going to collectively form those things. And so to be able to articulate well, and I feel like a lot of people think, oh no, but I can do that. But when you're so close to your business, what I found as well is you can't see it anymore. So it's always so important to upskill, to always be on.
Yeah. And I think being able to do that with authenticity as well, because it was interesting, the training that I just delivered a couple of weeks ago, that NLP practitioner training is a 7-day training. And during that training, I was talking about, you know, certification, accreditations and those kinds of things. And I'd said to the people that were there, so, you know, out of interest, did you go and just look at all of my certifications when you come to work with me? And they all said, well, no. And I said, exactly. So what was it that you looked at? And they're like, well, we looked at your website and had a look at, you know, all of your socials and things. And a lot of people, they said, a lot of people we looked at were all a bit rah, rah, rah. But what is it? They said, we could see exactly who you were and what you did, but you weren't shouting it out. It was like just being you was the credibility of who you are and what you do. And it's the authenticity. It's being able to language that. It's being able to show that without having to try to make out to be something that you're not.
Yeah. And just to like break that down a little bit more, to language that, they're the words, because I think you can overcomplicate something that's very simple. When you language that into simplicity, into who you are, like a lot of people will then go, oh, when they meet you in real life, you're the same as what you are online.
Yes.
You're the same person. Oh my gosh. And then that's amazing. And then it's like, well, that's not an accident. I've had to work really hard to be able to translate the energy, which isn't something that's written, but to translate that energy and your energetics into a written language. Like it's like fireworks. It's beautiful when you get it right, but it's really hard to do that. And so that's why, you know, when you get to certain points in business, you got to level up, because you got to get better at that.
Yes.
And that's
I think
what people are drawn to.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that, you know, I do see, and you touched on this before about, you know, NLP, it's an acronym, like it's kind of, what does even that mean? You know, and I know like sometimes when people get into this field and the coaching, you know, they talk about limiting beliefs and negative emotions and that kind of stuff. But those words don't really create an image for someone about what does that even mean?
Correct. It's like, yeah, but what are you saying? Tell me in layman's terms. Like what? Just get the heart of it and give it to me. Don't like beat around the bush. It's the same words as like overwhelm and like just like all these fluffy words. They mean like, yeah, they mean what they mean. But isn't it better to say something along the lines of, I can't even think of an example off the top of my head. But do you know what I'm saying?
Well, like what people, when, you know what it's like when you first go to do a video and you're thinking about doing this video and you're getting all these kind of like knots forming in your stomach and the thoughts racing through your mind about, oh my God, am I going to look ridiculous? Are people going to say something about me? And then you feel kind of shaky and nervous, and am I going to forget my words? And, you know, and then you go to take this video and you feel your voice wavering and those kinds of things. Like, that is an experience that people have. They don't sit there and go, I can't do videos because I've got a limiting belief about such and such.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that, but you know, it comes back, and I know this is something that you spoke about on when you come on as a guest for me as well, is that storytelling. It's like using language that creates this sensory description that people can actually picture like a movie in their mind and experience that as if it's real life. It's a real life example, because that's when people can connect to, okay, I get what you're talking about. I've had that experience, or I've seen someone have that experience. And so now it seems real. Now it seems like you know what you're talking about.
I love that. So what does 2024 look like for you?
Yes. Well, do you want me to finish this focus model?
Oh,
just quickly?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. We just
I know,
digress so
bit...
much. Oh my God, please. Everyone's probably like, Hayley, jump the gun.
Yeah. Well,
always.
I was just leaving an open loop. So the
Yeah,
what does the next letter stand for? So we've done F and we've done O. Like the C in focus is for creating change. So you really need to be able to know, how do you actually create change? So how do you create change around the pictures that you hold in your mind, the feelings that you have? You know, for example, there's techniques in NLP that are called anchoring, which essentially is a way that you can create a really positive state. Like you can get confidence, certainty, motivation, excitement, any of those kinds of states, like feel them come up in your body in an instant, like really quickly, when you know how to do those kinds of techniques. And your state is so important. It drives like what you think about, what behaviors you have, and those kinds of things. So being able to create changes like that within yourself is really important.
Have you read, I know this is so, I love these episodes to be conversational, but have you read Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty?
No, I don't think, no, I haven't.
Yeah, I'm reading that at the moment. And that kind of what you've just said, it kind of is a little bit about what he talks about in that book as well. It's like, that's really hard to do.
It's only when you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Only when you don't know how to do
monks
it.
do that really well. They're able to go from a state of like high energy to relaxation in seconds.
Yes.
Because their brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, not saying that we're all kind of aiming to be a monk, and I'm certainly not sitting on top of a hill meditating either, right? We're in real life. But what you can do, there are really simple ways that you can change how you feel. And the number one thing to do is to change your physiology, right? And this is why movement is so important. Getting exercise, like I do like an hour walk most days. I go to yoga and do those kinds of things. But even like breathing, like deep breathing will change your physiology. Having a glass of, water, will change your physiology. Like just doing something to shift your body will change your physiology. And also, this is going a little bit deep, but I think that's okay. I think we can do that here, Hayley.
Yeah, I love that. Please give us the deep.
Yeah, the deep is really, and this kind of ties in with the U in focus, which is knowing how to work with your unconscious mind. Like you have to work with your unconscious mind, because that's the stuff that is driving you automatically. It's where all your motivation is, everything. But you have to think about it as in, you are not your thoughts, okay? You are not your emotions. You are not even your body, okay? You are the consciousness that is observing your thoughts and your feelings and what's going on. And so this is a really important thing you need to be able to do, especially as a business owner, is to, rather than going, oh my God, I just like, someone sent me an email and that means that they don't think I'm good enough, they're not going to work with me anymore, blah, 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 right? You can get caught up into that loop, and then it starts proving true, because that's how thoughts and beliefs work. Instead, you have this awareness where I call it being guardian of your thoughts. Okay, so like there'll be times when, if I can feel something, because how you're feeling will be a direct indicator to what you're thinking. So I go, okay, I'm feeling something in my body. Maybe it's like some sensations, in like my stomach or my chest or my throat. And I go, okay, what is it that I'm thinking about? What is the thoughts that are running through my mind? And then I go, okay, so I'm observing Toni having these thoughts and having these sensations in her body. Are they true? Are they helpful? Are they really what she wants? So it's almost like you kind of dissociate a little bit, but it's like knowing that you're the consciousness that's having this human experience. Okay, so you're not like just the person who's there going, oh my God, what's going wrong, feeling all these emotions, reacting to something. It's like you can observe that. And when you realize that you're the observer, you're actually also in control of it. Okay, this is a really important thing to know, is that you're the person in the driver's seat. Most people are unconscious of this, right? And they go, well, someone said that to me. Of course I'm upset. Yeah, look, sure, but how long do you want to stay that way? Right? Like, you're the one who's in control of this. You're the observer of this is going on. Like, you can decide at any time to think different thoughts, to feel differently.
Yeah.
And it's not an automatic thing, right? It comes with like learning how to do that and practicing it ongoing. And so, and then the final thing, which I think is going to lead into what you asked me before, is the S in focus is for setting your sights. So you have to know where you're going, right? You've got to set your sights. Think about where it is you're going, what it is that you want to achieve. You know, create SMART goals, because SMART goals are just creating well-formed realities that you're going to achieve in some point in time in the future. And so that's it. That's focus.
I love it. So, to my question, that's deep. And so I think, like, for everyone listening, go back and re-listen a little bit, because this is a really helpful conversation for business owners. And a lot of people probably think about like NLP and go, oh, it's a little bit woo-woo for me, or it's a little bit, well, it's actually not. It's probably more practical than woo-woo, isn't it? Like, it's
yes.
so practical.
Well, and the thing about NLP that most people don't realize is that there's only one thing in NLP that actually comes from NLP. Everything else has been modeled on all the different psychologies, you know, social sciences, all different kinds of areas of human behavior and thought. And NLP, the one thing that comes from NLP is a technique called modeling. And modeling is essentially when you can go, okay, so here's a result that works. What are the steps that make that work? And so that I can recreate that same thing within myself. So anchoring, for example, I spoke about how you can get into a positive state at any given time, you know, certainty, motivation, excitement. That comes from the work done in the early 1900s by people that were doing stimulus response, where essentially the knee-jerk reflex was the first paper that was written on that, where this guy, William Twitmeyer, I think it was like 1902, he discovered if he would tap people on the knee with a hammer, their leg would jerk. And after doing that a few times, he would just show them the hammer or just hold it near their leg and their leg would still jerk. So that was the knee-jerk reflex, right? And that kind of has, you know, moved on to now where we know we can create positive states within ourselves just with the application of a stimulus. So all of it is stuff that is just really models what has worked throughout history.
And think about like the most successful people in business, big business, and what they probably use these models to, you know, because it's all about mindset. It's all about like you stepping into that person. And so the most successful people in the world will do this every single day.
100%. I mean, if you look at Tony Robbins, for example, who's one of the world's leading business and life strategists, he's NLP trained. All his stuff's NLP.
Amazing. So what does the S stand for you for 2024? What is your strategy? What's happening in your world? Because you're a dynamic lady. So please tell us.
Yeah, so I'm excited for 2024. One of the things that I really love is creating content, and content that makes a difference in the world, because you touched on this before, but my business is very purpose driven. Like I'm very, very driven to help people release their fears, understand their minds, and to be free of any kind of restricting system that's not aligned with the truth of who they are. So I know that when I get in flow and talk about these things, whether it's on podcasts or like TikToks or whatever, like stuff comes out through me that like I'm just like, wow, that's good stuff. I should take note of that, right? And so that really excites me. So into 2024, there's still a lot of training going on, and a whole lot more recording of content and speaking and those kinds of things. So I'm excited for that. And I'm particularly getting more my business online. Like I do a lot online now, but I really want to be doing more traveling. My partner works FIFO. My daughter's now living on Hamilton Island.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing really stopping me apart from my pet cat who's 14. Who
Apart
I
from your,
medicate every day.
oh, yes. So 2024 is bright for you. And I love that. And you're making changes to move closer to be that free person.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So after this deep, insightful conversation, how can people find you?
You can find me. I'm very much, my name is my brand. So
Yep.
you can find me pretty much anywhere at Toni Everard. So on all of the social media platforms. My website is tonyeverard.com.au. And yeah, the Coaching Circle podcast as well.
And so if someone wants to come into your world, obviously, like to start with, they've got the podcast, but do you have anything that you could share that they could access via a download or something like that? That's an easy thing.
Yes, I'm sure I have, and I didn't think about this before I got on
No, but the
here,
podcast
Hayley.
is perfect. The podcast
podcast is probably the
perfect.
best thing at the moment.
Yeah. Yep. And your episodes are released weekly, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're
Yep.
weekly. Yes, absolutely.
Everything will be in the show notes. Toni, thank you so much for sharing your incredible knowledge with me today. I've learned a lot, as well as the listeners, like on a selfish level. I've learned a lot. Thank you. But I know
It's been
that
such a pleasure.
everyone listening would have learned a lot too, because, you know, it's not something that you consciously think about in your business, but definitely need to think about in your business to move the needle. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. Thanks, Toni.
Thanks, Hayley. You too.